we're bringing it home. Beaver Stadium is done for the year. We got a Black Friday showdown in a quote-unquote neutral site up at Ford Field with the Michigan State Spartans. And to piggyback off your last question, positives and negatives of this year, B. What do you got for me, man? I think it's important to evaluate. I thought Adam did a great job of just painting the picture. Last week, even we here at the Pocket were pretty rough on the whole outlook, but I thought we were also fair and said some things that needed to be said. But in the grand scheme of things, like a lot of positives to take away from this year. There's some negatives that we definitely got to build on. Expectations that were set both internally and externally by the program. And some of those things they can't control. You know what I mean? You have two of the best teams in the country in your conference. At the end of the day, they expect a place like Penn State to keep up, right? And that's just, again, the big business. Adam talked about it. You got to give these kids time. But realistically speaking, no one's giving this time because of how big this business of college football has gotten, in my opinion. So I know that was a mouthful, but what do you got for me, positives and negatives this season?
No, that's everything you said was 100% facts. That's the business of what we're in now. College football as a whole, we keep talking about it getting more similar to the pro style, which is what have you done for me lately, which is unfortunate for the kids and the people that get scolded, but that is the business.
These kids, though, too, get it earlier, right? I mean, we were under a microscope when we were getting recruited in high school, but still we were also we had our time to be kids. We could still, our Twitters weren't being scanned for stupid stuff that we said. It wasn't happening at that speed at that time. But these kids are under such a microscope from the time they're 6th, 7th, 8th grade now with 7-on-7 ball and rivals and 24/7 infiltrating that. It's just the way it's going, dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can't fight it. You can't fight it.
It is what it is.
In terms of Penn State, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, the season only feels, like you said, we ripped, we didn't even rip, but we got a little harsh, came down in our program a little bit, only because the expectations were set so high, as they should be. And that's not going to change. That shouldn't change. So the things I'm proud of and positive from the season is that championship defense Adam spoke about. That's something not to be, forgotten. Not that we were perfect and number one in every category, but that, as a defensive guy, the team should help hold their head high and continue to hold their head high on that performance and definitely continue. Please finish the season off that way. Please. Don't let the foot off the gas. And offensively, I mean, I think we cannot forget that, not that it was all on this quarterback, this young kid, but obviously that position, he's at the helm. But this was his first really, piece of his resume out there. I had a little taste last season, but this was his first true, season, in my opinion, at least. And I think there's a lot to build from. I mean, I was going to ask you that at the end of this pod, what's something, where do you go into the season? Yeah, you don't have to answer that now because I do want to ask you later. But moving on. And I think the offense everyone has room to improve. Obviously, the offense is more visible. And as we spoke about, it's going to lay a lot on, what OC comes in. But from my perspective, I don't care. As a player, if I'm on that offensive, roster right now, whether I'm a guy that's been out there or a guy that wants to see more field, I'm taking it internally. What do I need to do? What am I going to do this offseason to become a guy? Or if I'm already a number one on the roster, what am I going to do to become that X factor? That's the things that I'm looking forward to. And I hope that the kids kind of have that same, mentality, because opportunity is still right there in your hand. I mean, as we said, we're still a few plays away from, eclipsing that, that status of where we want to be.
Yeah. So I'll jump my positives. I'll let you get your negatives. I'll jump into my negatives after that. But we're still on the verge of a 10-win season, right? 10-win season is a 10-win season. We're on the verge of it. The defense you touched on, that's something that has always been a staple of Penn State and something that we can hang our hat on. And I'm happy that even through change with coordinators and all this other stuff that's happened, it's been a pretty consistent thing. I another potential New Year's Six Bowl, right? And with that, it's another opportunity to probably beat or, play against a top 10 team, which for Coach Franklin, the more opportunities he gets with that is only going to help him eliminate the narrative of not being able to overcome that. So to me, that's a positive. You're going to get another opportunity on another national stage to go against the top 10 program and see what happens. And then I thought they did handle adversity well. You ups and downs, you get beat by Ohio State, you come start a little slow against Indiana, finish strong, put a great performance on against Maryland, who we seem to have their number, and they seem to be able to get in dogfights with the best of them. So, one of those things, it's a little bit of a head scratcher, but and then we, shit the bed again, for lack of a better term, with Michigan. But then they come out and with two guys as co-offensive coordinators trying to figure out their identity and getting a rhythm, end up pulling away at the end with Rutgers. So I thought just overall they've handled all the noise and all the expectations and adversity as good as you could expect a bunch of 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kids to do.
Right. I mean, I tweeted it and Adam touched on it, but it could be USC bad. And I know for a lot of fans, some people are with me, some people are like, oh, it doesn't care. What's our standard? And of course, our standard doesn't change. But yeah, to step back and keep perspective of this whole college football landscape. And I know people want the elite status, but 10-2, 9-2, New Year's Eve bowl game, it beats 7-3 from a national championship contender like a USC was. Or there's plenty of schools we can name that also have very high expectations that came nowhere near close to meeting those. So just perspective, and to just, I said it last week, Dawn Staley quote, establishing dominance takes time. And we're good. Sometimes we look great, but we're not dominant.
I'll jump on my negatives now because that's a perfect segue, right? I thought we never reached our potential offensively, and ultimately that led to a change. But I think the most disappointing part about that is that throughout that whole growth, right? And I'm not expecting the growth to be linear, straight up and down. I understand that there's always hiccups on that graph, no matter how you cut it. It's an imperfect game. There's so many variables, you really can't expect it to be that way. But I think it was the way we played, right? Again, after that Maryland game, we thought the tides were turning, they're starting to get a rhythm. And then it was just a very similar type of feel to the Ohio State game. And that was really bad. I mean, it's just what it was offensively. And I'm just going to cut the pie in half. Offensively, it was just really bad. And I just think that coupled with the expectations and pressure outside, it was just the way we did it, right? If that was a Ohio State or Michigan kicks a game-winning field goal as time expires, I don't think that stings as bad, but we just flat out played like horse shit, both of those games offensively. And like I said, I keep saying it. I truly, truly believe it does not come down to the Jimmies and Joes. I think we have the kids in the building and on that roster to compete with those guys and make those games much more entertaining, coming down to those 3 or 4 plays. And really, both of those games were out of control and out of our hands for the vast majority of the game. And it was just the manner in which we lost was a negative and a disappointing. It was almost like we didn't rise to that occasion and rise to the moment as a unit, which – take that how you want to take it, right? I think that's how I diagnosed it. That's how I see it. And that's how I'm going to call it.
Right. Yeah. And that kind of leads to my negative. I mean, you spoke on it throughout those weeks, coming off of losses. And it's hard, we're not in the locker room or on the sideline or in the practice facility. Not going to talk like I am. But we didn't quite see that alpha male, that X factor come, rise to the occasion, as you said, to kind of, energize this team or the offense, whoever it may be, to kind of, give them that juice to kind of okay, things aren't going well, but hey, we're still swinging. We're going out Dukes flying. As you said, the way we didn't really lose those tough games, throwing all our punches. It didn't seem that way. And I would like to see, the players and whoever it may be step up in those occasions. And, I mean, it's tough. Maybe they're not put in the positions to even do that. I don't know. But I would like to see that moving forward. That has to be a key factor in, like, the offense. Obviously a good scheme and all that, but allowing your guys to go be, the dogs that they're trained
It's
to
almost
be.
like a mindset and a mentality. Like it's like an attacking mindset and mentality. And there's so many cliche terms, and we're going to get to some of this in the mailbag because I did love the one question we got. But there's so many like buzzwords that people use. But like truly the attitude of the offense is, to me, very, very important. I think it should be that. Like it should be on the offensive.
Right.
Like you should be trying to your point, empty the bag, throw your punches, play the game, box, whether it's some games you may have to come out like Floyd, other games you might have to come out like Tyson and throw your haymakers. Like you just have to figure out. And I hope that the personality that we're going to bring in can take control of all the different variables that may come into him being able to do that. And just let the fucker fly, for lack of a better term. I mean, just breed confidence into the players, breed confidence into everybody else in that building. And when you get these types of opportunities, it's only going to become more. We talked about it last week. Like you're only going to get more opportunities against marquee programs, the Oregons, the Washingtons of the country now coming into the conference. Like you're only going to continue to get more of these. So like we beat everyone we were supposed to beat according to Vegas this year. We lost to everyone we were supposed to lose to. Like, I think there's just the dissemination of talent across college football with the transfer portal, all this other stuff that's going on. Like, I think you just need to understand that when you get these types of opportunities, it's got to become second nature. And like you hinted at earlier, like more of that like NFL mentality where on any given Sunday, the worst team in the league, like I was on the worst team in the league for 3 years basically. And like at any given time, the worst team in the league can come out and beat the best team. It's just a matter of are they confident? Are they in the right positions? And that comes down to that holistic approach. So I don't want to beat a dead horse with how important this hire is because I think we all know. But I think we got the right folks who are going to be vetting it and ultimately getting it done.